Hello. Wow. Okay, so this is Let's Talk About It with Alice. Hello, everybody. We are on Saturday afternoon at 6 o'clock instead of Sunday afternoon at 6. We decided to go live today because we've been missing the past 2 weeks, exciting vacationing and things like that. But it's been wonderful. So we just want to say hi. We are back and we've got a lot to talk about. Remember, let's talk about it. Hey, that's what it's all about. Let's talk about it with Alice. You have your questions, join in with the conversation today. And we're going to have a great time. We're going to do 1 hour. Usually we do the 30 minutes, but I think we'll go a little bit. Got a lot to talk about. Roe versus Wade. Oh, wow.
Woo!
That's a big topic for the day. We got Shawana on today. Dr. Clark, are you there?
I am back from Jamaica.
All right.
Hey,
We'll talk a little bit about that. And we've
hey,
got Terry on today. Terry, you there?
hey, hello everyone. Good to be back.
Last week I left me by myself, but hey, we rocked it. We really did. So just want to say this is Let's Talk About It with Alice. Please share this now. Please, hit like. Please go in and, make sure that you share this with someone. So, Ro, are you there? Let's go with it. All right.
Yeah,
So, what do we
yeah,
have? There's kind of we want to hang with this one because I believe it's going to be a great topic, and I think that if we
yeah,
just take it slow, everybody have their own thoughts and opinion about
Opinion,
Roe
right?
versus Wade. 50 years. Mm, 50 years. Can you
yeah,
believe that? That we are here at this moment and at this time. So we've got a lot of, talk. The girls, we got some controversial talk going on here in terms of what's your thoughts?
sorry.
We got, we got it from the religious aspect, got it also from, I believe, just own personal opinions and thoughts about this, and as
Yeah,
well as, from the law. Let's just look at this thing because this is really huge. This is really
It
huge,
is.
which is almost, in my opinion, dividing the country. And it
again,
is just amazing to me how we are seeing all of these distractions, all of these things that are coming up really get us really off course. But this right here is something really to the core because, it kind of speaks of, hmm, where are we going with this? Where the government are able to just now start dictating our lives. So, what's your thought?
Right.
yeah. Terry,
Let's
I'm
talk about
gonna.
it.
We have a lot of thoughts about this one because it's to your point earlier, Mom. On both sides of the table, the- there's validity, right? And so now we've gone back to like you said, dividing the country, because everybody's opinions are very, very high. So there's one side of the coin. I was talking to Ian, and for those that don't know, he's an attorney, and his thought about it was a lot of people have not looked at the amendment, our rights and looked at the way that the judges on the Supreme Court had to view it as to why they felt like it needed to be struck down, that it needed to go to the states, and the states needed to decide on this issue, that it wasn't a pure constitutional issue, which is why they, ruled the way that they did. And so, in essence, they're trying to right some wrongs that were done back in the past, in terms of how they view the Constitution. And Ian gave another valid point. He was like, that's just like people reading something into the Constitution that's not there. He said, it's just like people do it all the time with the Bible. They'll read something into the Bible and have their own opinion about it that's not even really valid,
Hmm.
and which I was like, that's really a good point.
That's true.
Um, But the thing I think that a lot of us as women are bothered by is the fact that it's someone else dictating to us about what our rights are. We have
Right.
been given rights, at the end of the day to make decisions and choices of our own. And it's like someone coming in and taking that right away or putting it in the hands of the government, which I just purely think is not appropriate. I do understand the flip side of it, because if you look at the state bans, and we can go into a little more detail, but when you look
Mhm.
at the bans within the states and the restrictions that exist, or those that don't have restrictions where babies could be aborted at 8 months, that's where you start drawing the line that there's a lot
Right.
of. So it's like a slippery slope kind of a argument, so to speak, where you understand, do not take the rights of a female or of a woman away, because what else are you going to try to take away? And then
Right.
the other
Right.
argument goes to, now, obviously there are babies that are involved. Like, these are,
Mhm.
their hearts are beating, they can feel pain. So
Right.
when some states say, okay, at 6 weeks, most women don't know usually during that time that they're pregnant. So you kind of understand that. After that, then like, okay, when you start going and and the heart is beating, then that's where people are really, really struggling. And so I think
Mhm.
this is there's it's a lot, to digest, to be honest with you, because if you go state by state, it's a lot to digest regarding what this decision has done.
Right.
Terry, where were you?
That's
I know
true.
you read something somebody sent you earlier.
Right. And this is before actually this is before Roe versus Wade, and that was this post that was posted where this lady said that before Roe versus Wade, she said she worked in a nursing home, um, in nursing homes for a good while. And she said, let me tell you some of the stories that these 70, 80, and 90 plus women told me. One story was she said, I kept telling my husband 6 kids was enough. After a while, I just started throwing them in the river. Then another story was I knew it was my
Wow.
father's, so I just left it in a hole in the outhouse. And then another story, I just shoved dirt in its mouth and left it in the woods. And then there's another story, which was several stories, but this is another story. I gave birth on my friend's couch. I don't know what she did with it. We never talked about it again. And then she went on to say there were so many other stories, but she'll just stop there. So, what does that mean? If that's the case, then are we going to go back to, you know, not necessarily stuff like that, but people doing, abortions like, okay, for instance, like on the color girl, I think the movie was called Color Girls, and where this lady was doing a abortion, in her apartment and almost killed this lady. I mean, what are we doing here? It's a
Yeah.
lot. And then to say, what if you were molested or raped, or something like that? You got to live with the fact that you had a baby from somebody that raped you or a baby that you didn't even, want. I got questions.
I do
And
too, Tara, because I'm a little confused in that you have some of the states where they're even looking at trying to create laws where women that want to go across the state because of
state.
the restrictions
Hmm.
within their own state, they want to go across the
Right,
state and
right.
could find themselves in trouble for doing that. And if you think about it, for minorities, for example, that don't have access to just jump on a plane and fly to California or wherever,
Wherever,
their
yeah.
minimum restrictions, then
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see how this entire thing plays out. I think putting it at the state level is probably the possibly one of those solutions, but it's not if there's not going to be consistency across the
Hmm.
states, so that
Right.
there's fairness going across the states. When you go from one state that is absolutely super restrictive to another state that is minimal
Hmm.
restrictions,
Right.
and that I just think that this whole thing was not thought through properly,
Right.
and now it's just going
Well,
to send,
Then
us
the
up
other
in a
thing,
upheaval.
it was
the,
thought
the
through. It was thought. It was thought through properly. Very methodical. They thought this through. I think we have several things that we to look at. We looking at, one thing from a spiritual aspect, I think for me, and then you look at it from a natural aspect. And I know that we can all, you know, have we own opinions about it. I just
right,
wonder with a lot of those, with the, justices and then, a lot of those who definitely feel that this is not the right thing. I don't think that, you should, I think that killing on any level is wrong. Is wrong on any level. And I think that, uh, even with the justice, I would say, system when it comes to when people kill someone or they have capital punishment, that's killing the way. A lot of these things that, and then you get to what does the Bible say? God made us all free moral agents and that we have the right to choose. He said you can choose life, you can choose death, have a right. He doesn't take that from us. He let us make those decisions ourselves. And if people make decisions themselves, then that's their decision. They got to live with it. They got to stand before God for it. And that's their decision. Um, but how many of our counterparts, if a man, a rapist, or someone raped their child, and eh, what would be their thoughts on that, and what would be the mental state that
right.
people have to live with that. And I think that in
Yeah, because now you're talking
everything,
about mental health.
right. So it's just a whole lot. It's a lot of stuff that has to be uncovered and unfolded. And
Hmm.
we now, I just think that when they can make decisions for us, how much further that they're going to continue to mandate and make decisions for our lives for us. And so it just kind of makes me think about with the age, antichrist coming on the scene, and you can't do anything. So I just want the government and all of these powers to be making decisions for us, as a people. I just think that it doesn't make sense. No, I don't believe that you just up jump and just get pregnant and go get an abortion. You get pregnant, go get an abortion. No, I don't.
Yeah,
I
like
don't
it's a
think
form
that's
of
right.
birth control. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
No.
that's not. I don't think that that's right at all. But I do
Mm-mm.
think that there are parameters ought to be put in place as it relates. They made this decision. We will see how this gonna all unfold, but we do know it doesn't stop here because once they conquer this, there are more things that's gonna be unfold. There's a lot that we just don't know that's under this
Right.
that's happening under the
Oh
scene
yes.
that causes these things to
Yeah.
be. And so that's why I believe that the Bible say, "My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge." And some people feel like, well, they have the knowledge and they know what they're doing, but until something happens on your ground and your level, then it seems to be something a different story.
Let me
Yeah.
tell
Well,
you,
there's
here. Oh,
another
go ahead,
post that
sis.
says America overturns Roe versus Wade, but can't keep formula on the shelves.
Yeah,
No, what about
yeah,
that?
yeah. We have we or we can't pass
Make that
proper
make sense.
gun control laws, but we could do that as
Oh
well.
yeah,
But
we
Right.
it's a different system though. But let me tell
killing.
you this.
Look, killing is killing on every.
Right.
So
When they
here's an
put that
article.
knee on. Mm-mm. Yeah, go on.
Here's an article that I found that posted about noon today. It says, here's where abortions are now banned or strictly limited. and where they may soon be. They are now illegal or heavily restricted in at least 11 states following the Supreme Court's decision Friday to overturn Roe versus Wade. It says 12 other states have laws in place that pave the way to quickly ban or severely restrict access to them, according to research from this institute or what have you. But basically, the states, it looked like the states where there is a ban in effect are Wisconsin, South Dakota, Missouri, Kentucky, West Virginia, Ohio, Arkansas, Alabama, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Texas. That's where abortion bans are already in place. Then there's a trigger. So when Roe versus Wade hit, these states had a trigger in place, and that's North Dakota, Wyoming, Idaho, Utah, Tennessee, and Mississippi. And then the 6 week ban. So, like if a person gets pregnant and then, 6 weeks, they
Mhm.
decide after 6 weeks they're not allowed.
Then
That's in
okay.
Georgia, South Carolina,
Okay.
and what is that? Indiana. And
Okay.
yeah, and then they had this pre-row ban. So there's like a whole bunch of other states where the states that I haven't called out where they haven't put anything in place yet, but they are working now on what those, right now, whatever they had in place prior to Roe versus Wade is what's in existence,
Right.
but now it'll start putting laws in place in some of these other states where nothing exists yet.
Mhm.
But this has triggered like so much hate,
Yeah.
and anger, and
Mhm.
I mean, just misunderstandings, or people not being fully educated, as you said, Mom, earlier. And then people just misinformed, basically.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, it still boils down to government being in the midst of making a decision for women.
Right.
And I
Right.
think, and anybody, and I think that when it comes to something like this, which is such a personal decision, that it should not be in anybody's hands but the person that is making the decision.
Right.
My
Absolutely.
point is this: is that whatever we do, we got to stand before God for it. Personally,
Period.
Mhm.
whatever I do, whatever
Exactly.
decision that I make, I got to stand before God
That's right.
for that decision. And I know I don't believe, in abortion, just go out and, just have abortions. No.
Yeah,
But
Right.
I also
exactly.
know that God has given me the decision and ability, to think for myself and to be able to make those decisions. And if I make the wrong decision, that's going to be on me. It's not going to be on anybody else. But I do think that, yes, many things have been slaughtered. In fact, who started this? They started this trying to get rid of, back in I think it was the 60s or the 70s, the black women having babies. And they were the one that was giving them abortions and just taking babies and babies. They did. I remember this.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Let's be truthful about it, because that it was absolute truth.
What
Um,
happened?
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I can remember way I think it was in the 60s, early 60s. And I tell you, if you're not careful, even with this, I remember when women was using clothes hangers to give themselves abortion, or they had some neighbor and things like this.
Oh,
It was a
Jesus.
lot of
Yeah.
dangerous stuff. And I tell you,
Yeah.
it will bring all of that back again if they don't do something and put some
And
parameters
put
in
them in
place.
place.
They
Mhm.
will
Mhm.
find a way to get rid of. You won't make them have it if they don't want to. They're gonna find a way to do it. And people were using clothes hangers. I've known
Ugh.
get really, really sick because some woman in our house was giving somebody an abortion. But also at the same time, I could remember at an area hospital, our biggest area hospital, they were just giving women abortions just like it was nothing in the 60s. Okay. So we
Wow.
remember this. So it's a lot behind all of what's going on now. Just really, really sad at the fact that um, they're making decisions for women. And I'm not saying they're saying that they're going to lock up these judges or whoever. You don't It's a lot. It's a lot. What I'm saying is this, is that what does the word of God say? you know and the word of God goes further than this. We got to go all the way back to the Europeans. We got to go all the way back when they start making all these decisions, and now all of this stuff over here. We got to go all the way back. If we look at it, let's go all the way back when we were made to come to this country. We were made. People were
Yeah.
just
Mom,
made.
so Michelle Webb posted on her page, she said, today, women's rights, tomorrow, civil and voting rights,
That
marriage,
is.
including interracial, etc., will be
Hmm.
attacked any race. And so she said,
Every.
vote. And a point that I love what she said, because with the interracial marriage, like Terrence, what is it? Clarence Thomas was one of those that was voting, and looking at the way that they went about the voting, there's no reason as to why this won't impact him, and he's in an interracial marriage, because some of the same justification that they use to vote this down, they can use it to vote some of these other old laws down that would justify interracial marriages, civil rights. I mean, all of these different things. And yes, is the what is it? You have to go and pull up the amendment. I think it's the 14th Amendment, so you can kind of see where some of these other things that exist are in place, but there's no reason as to why they can't go and attack that and say, no, this doesn't fall up under the 14th Amendment. This needs to go back to the state. I think it's such a
Yeah.
slippery slope argument right now. I'm not a lawyer, definitely have no knowledge of that, but just understand a little bit, or understand enough of it to just, it puts questions in the minds of us now, because it lets us know that to your point, Mom, they can do more to attack other areas within our life, by voting different things
And
out
they
and giving it. And
will.
yeah.
And they will. It's going to
That's right.
progressively. It's going to come and more of this. It's an attack. It really is. But it's all setting up for, the end of the age. It really. I advocate for just go and have babies. You can use it as a form of. No, I don't advocate that killing. I don't
Right,
advocate
right,
killing at all. It's babies. You know, I don't advocate capital. You're gonna do capital punishment. You're still killing the life. A life is a life, regardless of what age it is.
right,
You know,
right.
uh, we have to consider that regardless of what life. God is concerned about human life, human life. But we were in the 60s, went to the slaughter with them getting
Right.
rid of babies. Now that's the truth. So I'm just saying that we at this point now where Roe versus Wade, such a big thing, but we don't want to be distracted in this hour and really get our minds off of the main thing. It's called,
Hmm.
look at what the scriptures say about all life. God give life and God takes life. But then you also got people, you got government taking folk lives. Taking life is a life. you know,
Right.
they're taking
That's right.
uh, some people did not feel that the man that put his foot and knee on George Floyd, there were those on the other side that didn't feel like they felt that was justifiable. And it wasn't. It was a man's life. So when you look at
That's
it,
right.
whether it's babies, you know older people, they're getting rid of older people. They let a lot of old people die during COVID. Why?
Yeah.
Because they don't want to get people. That's exactly what happened.
What do you
They
mean
let
they let a lot of old people die? Because that's not necessarily the government. I can't say I fully agree with that statement.
I won't say
Explain.
I won't say that it was. What I'm saying is, saying the government did this. I'm saying that happened everywhere. You see what I'm saying? That
Hmm.
that people are not caring about life in general. I don't care whether it's
Mm-mm.
Hispanics, whether it's look at what happened over in Nigeria. You didn't hear nothing about that on the news.
No,
You
you
didn't hear
didn't.
about like you only
But it
hear
happened.
about certain things. So if you care about one life, why their lives are not important? Why other people's lives not important? Everybody's life is important. And the little bitty babies, yes, of course it is. What I do know that it would take away a lot of funds as well that would even talk about prevention to young people. Those kind of grant fundings,
Mm.
no doubt, will go away. So, you
Ooh,
won't
I
be
hope
able to go
not.
in, those kind
Wow.
of
Right.
grant funding, it would take a lot of funding away, where you're educating young people about how
Right.
to care for themselves and how to care for their
Right.
bodies and how to take care of themselves. A lot of fundings will
And
go away.
prevention. And
And
Mm-hmm.
prevention.
prevention.
And
Yeah.
prevention.
Prevention and
Wow.
intervention. Yeah. So it's a lot. It's because we're concentrating on one thing, but it's a lot that's that's packed in this. And it hasn't been on for all of, and we probably would never know all of the things that's under the underlining of all of it. But the bottom line is that um for those who, whether you believe, Roe versus Wade,
Mm-hmm.
whether this was the right thing to do or not, everybody have their own opinion. You're a free moral agent. You can make your decision about it yourself, and
Right.
then look at it, but look at it from a broader perspective. This thing goes further than what we see now. Roe versus
Absolutely.
Wade, it's a thing. It's really deep.
Listen to this. So I just saw this. This popped up 3 hours ago, but it's from Samuel L. Jackson. It says Samuel L. Jackson rips Uncle Clarence Thomas in racial attack on Supreme Court justice. It says he, in a tweet Saturday after the court overturned Roe versus Wade, Jackson called Thomas Uncle Clarence, mocking the justice for his opinion in the landmark abortion case. It said, "How's Uncle Clarence feeling about overturning Loving versus Virginia?" Jackson wrote on Twitter. Loving versus Virginia was the civil rights case that deemed interracial marriage bans unconstitutional. Thomas, a black man, is married to Jenny Thomas, who is white. Uncle Clarence is
Mm.
likely a derogatory reference to the literacy character Uncle Tom, a slave character often associated with submission to a white ruling class. It says Clarence Thomas says Supreme Court should reconsider contraception, gay marriage rulings, and Jackson is not the only person to make this the recent court ruling a racial issue. He said members of the Congressional Black Caucus are urging President Biden to declare a national emergency after the Supreme Court voted to overturn Roe versus Wade. The decision shifted the legality of abortion to states, about 2 dozen of which have so called trigger laws outlawing or restricting abortion. So the members want Biden to intervene. Um, Every day we wait to respond is a day wasted in mitigating the public health crisis that Roe's dismantling will catalyze. And it says, in a concurring opinion, Thomas pitched the possibility of revisiting multiple other key rulings on same sex marriage and contraception, the aftermath of overturning Roe versus Wade. That's
Mm.
interesting. So
Well,
Samuel Jackson then
we
sat up there and
know.
called this man an Uncle Tom.
Well, we
Ouch.
know. Well, he's been before and so many other names as well. We know where he stand. We know where he stand. Randy's humanity is in trouble because we do not value life. She also says that she said where we are in the natural selection as to who should live and who shouldn't. Humanity has determined that a specific color or preference is not worthy of living. We have determined who should live without killing all, and that is the truth. Said Thomas. Thomas has bowed his head and goes with the flow, and that's exactly true. Clarence has always been away from the big. That's why where it is because he knew that he would stand and the color that he is. And so that's the sad part about it. The thing about Roe versus Wade, again, Each has their own opinion based on their convictions. And I still say the Lord Himself really gave us choice. He gave us choice what we can't do. Someone said to me earlier today, said, yes, our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit, and it really is. And one of the things that we know, and especially for those who are believers, we know what it is should and should not do. And we also
Yeah.
know that God has given us the liberty to make our own mind as what we do and what we choose not to do. And saying that, and back in the
Mhm.
day, all of the, all of that I was was being started in, with questions and all that, and while the others, they were getting secret abortions. Nobody knew they could afford it. They secret abortions. Again, if
Mhm.
I just say this happens, and and ask them, what about a rapist? What about what is what are the
Mhm.
mental effects that
Right.
have been getting rid of babies inside the little girl? If I already knew in the house and grew up, no means no. If you get pregnant, you have a baby. No, we do that, and no. So the thing that I said that it is, and I believe I can believe that I'm in this. If God does that opportunity, I think that the decision is to you. And I don't think that the government should dictate lives. What else do they plan to set in place and in emotion so that they can restrict you and stop you, or so that they can force you to do something? They have no place
Mhm.
in forcing us to do something. Ah,
Yeah,
well,
so
what can we say
on
there?
that note, yeah, I think probably my last words is everyone has an opinion, and I
Oh, let
think
me
it's
let
just
me let me
important to
share this.
respect. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me share this. Oh, you got Brandy. She said this is just the beginning of the mirage of law that the Supreme Court will revisit and perhaps overturn. Um, she said that there is an available in government, and that is crooked and powered by money and position. And that's the exact truth. When we look at this, that's exactly what all it goes deeper than that. There's an age, you know, things that be in place, martial law, you name it, they're set in the stage.
Right.
So if we can get by with
Right.
this one, we get by with this one. Remember who that said that Trump appointed two up there. And so those two, along with Clarence, did what they did. Hallelujah. Okay.
That's that.
Yeah,
There we go. All right. So
There we
Terry, you
go.
got the
with
parting
this,
words.
where
I
is
don't have
it?
any last
Where
words.
is
My last word.
and I was just
Go ahead,
reading
Mom.
what uh, yeah, I was just reading what Brandon
Okay, go
said.
ahead.
She said in a statement on Friday, the NAACP General Counsel, Janelle McCarthy said that will disproportionate uh, by calling it an irregular assault on basic human rights. It is. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. You got to stay woke,
Where we
y'all.
are.
Just stay woke.
People,
Yeah.
people, I'll just say this, my last words. You haven't seen nothing yet. This is not even a tip of the iceberg as to what our government is planning for us.
Yeah.
Well,
And
on
I
that
don't
note,
have
this has been
anything.
Let's Talk About It. We don't, that's been Let's Talk About It. We can end right there with that.
Yeah.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap.
It's just that we want to, give everybody an
Right.
opportunity, to say what it
Mm-hmm.
is. And this is, let's talk about it with the Alice. You just heard it. Roe versus Wade. What's your thoughts? What's your thinking? Yeah,
Put your
think
comments
about
in the
that.
chat. We want to hear. We'll read them out next Sunday.
Yes,
Or next
yes.
Saturday. Put your comments in
Yes,
the
and
chat.
we'll come back on next Sunday and talk about it because this hasn't gone anywhere. But again, it is a way to stir the country up and to get people to keep people on edge,
Right.
to keep people on edge. And that's exactly what this is to keep all the fire going, from COVID, now Roe
The
versus Wade.
gas,
What else coming
Gas.
next?
the
Yeah.
Huh?
Everything.
gas, crazy
No
gas
form.
prices,
No
Yes,
form.
all of this.
No
no
This is just
formula
formula.
for the
keep.
babies.
Yes, yes. Don't
Just
tell me
It's
if
a
this
everything.
not a
mess.
setup from hell. It's a setup, people. It's to keep us in an uproar, to cause us to get off focus. And as I said, don't get off focus in this hour. You got to
That's
remember,
right.
all of this is nothing but noise, and you don't want to be off focus in this time. Stay
That's
keep us
good.
about it. Uh, and say love.
Peace.
Peace and
Increase.
woohoo! See you guys.
Hey, with
Bye.
have a good one. Thank you. Bye bye.
I.